Whoa, it's good to see so many eager people here. Glad you made it early. On this episode of Noches del Café, we visit the village of Harlem for the African Voices Harlem Brownstone Series. Tonight's poets include Maria Teresa Fernandez, Laideen Kaliba, Brenda Connor Bay, Patricia Spears Jones, and the music of the Allison Williams Foster Quartet. Bienvenido a Noches del Café, where revolutionaries hang out after the revolution.
And now I'd like to introduce you to your host for this afternoon's festivities, Mr. Laideen Kaliba.
Okay, the first piece is called Baby Graham. It seems strange standing there in the place my parents spoke so fondly of. You know, when I close my eyes and I listen with my mind's ear, I could see them dancing and hear them laughing, their voices rising and falling sharply in tones of now ancient hipness. Standing there at the club Baby Grand, I recall those intimate nights of mommy and daddy, rapping with me, my brothers and my sister, about how they rode the original A train to Harlem, how they stomped at the...
Laideen, tell us something about the series that's opening up on Sunday. Where?
Well, the series is called the African Voices Harlem Brownstone Reading Series. Do that right. And we plan to really have a whole host of different types of writers coming through. Cause we're gonna do the whole spectrum.
Yeah, bring them all up.
Williams, you know, and
start a new renaissance.
Let them do his thing.
We mentioned off the camera, before we actually kicked off the show, we were talking about the Harlem series and whether or not it was an effort to bring people to Harlem, or whether or not it was just Harlem was just one location to have these series. Which of the two was it? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, there's more of an effort to bring people back to Harlem, you know, because the Renaissance was a heavy period for Harlem, you know, with the Langstons, you know,
right,
and Claude McKay and all them coming through, and then actually Lewis, myself, and Gabby Johnston and Wajiku Reynolds, we all kind of piggybanked on a Baraka, a legend, and you know, and that group of people. Now they have another group of people like Jessica. So we want to bring everybody home to Harlem because like Brooklyn's really been taken over as far as the hot spot of readings and stuff like that.
So it's the ancient tribal dances that our people danced long before ocean and time put Harlem on our minds. Then as quickly as the images came, they seemed to be fading in the distance. And I can hear my mother's voice saying, "All right, kids, brush your teeth before you go to bed." And I can see my older sister walking toward the TV set, getting ready to catch the end of the Late Late Show. And mommy and daddy, they're walking hand in hand to the bedroom with baby Gran yesterday still glowing in their eyes. You know, when I stand here and I listen with my mind's ear, I can hear the music, I don't stay out late, nowhere to go. I'm home about it, just me and my radio. Ain't misbehaving, I'm saving my love. Well, I know for certain the one I love. One never know, do one.
Is it the lack of outlets for writers like Nadine and Jessica who will hear from, again, the reason for African Voices?
Well, yes, it's a place for emerging writers, emerging artists. Some of them are published, some of them are unpublished.
Some of them are self-published?
Yeah, some of them are self-published. Right. And I think outlets like what Jessica is doing and what African Voices is doing is definitely like something that's needed, because like you know, like the New Yorker is not going to publish most of our work. I mean, only a fraction. So
if
you
any.
know, yeah, if any. And there's so much talent out there, and you know, we're finally getting things out there, and we are getting recognized by some of the other communities. But it's taken us to do this on our own, and we have to keep doing that, maintain a certain level of control.
Mariposa, thank you for being with us. Is this your first appearance at the Harlem Brownstone Series?
Yes, this is my first appearance here. I think the Harlem Brownstone Series is amazing, and when I was in high school, I discovered all of the radical black poets of the 1960s, of the civil rights era, and it wasn't until I was in college that I discovered Pedro Pietri and Sandra Maria Esteves, and then later on Tato Laviera. So each of those poets inspired me in different ways, and they inspired me with their unique self-expression, their way of telling stories. You know, like I think that the strongest poems are the poems that tell a story, that share a story. My hair can show you the way to freedom. Forever erase your vision of internalized ugly isms. My hair is the ocean at its wildest. My hair is Olokun in a rage. My hair is the untamed hurricane of ancestral pain, uncaged. My hair is alive, beautiful, wild, and free. My hair is the sun, forever glistening. Braids, twist, and tie, restrain baby naps, never to be free. Braids, twist, and tie, contain, hold in the shame of not having long black silky strands to run my fingers through. Moños y bobby pins, twist and wrap. Please forgive me for the sin of not inheriting Papi's good hair. Excuse me for living. Moños y bobby pins, twist and wrap, restrain kinky naps, dying to be free, but not the pain of not having a long black silky mane to run my fingers through. Clips and ribbons to hold back and tie, imprisoning baby naps never to be free. Pinches and ribbons to hold back the tie, oppressing baby naps never to have the dignity to be. Chemical relaxers, broken ends, broken promises, activator and cream mixed in with bitterness. Mix well. The ritual of combing, parting, sectioning, the greasing of the scalp, the neck, the forehead, the ears, the process, and then the burning. It hurts to be beautiful, my mother tells me. Tate quieta. Pero mami me pica. And then the running to water, to salvation, to neutralizer. To broken ends and broken promises, graduating from carefree curl to kitty curl, to Revlon, to super duper fabulax of different boxes, offering us broken ends and broken promises. We've come a long way since Dixie Peach, my mother tells me, as I sit at the kitchen table. Chemical relaxers to melt away the shame until new growth reminds us that it is time once again for the ritual and the fear of scalp burns and hair loss and the welcoming of broken ends and broken promises. When the truth is that black hair, African textured hair, carefree, crazy, curly hair is beautiful.
My own work, I tend to think about relationships between myself and everything from buildings to history to people to boyfriends, whatever. And I care very, very deeply about culture and history and art. A good friend of mine edited an amazing book, write this down, you would love it, called Willow, Wine, Mirror, Moon, Women's Poems from Tang, China. Okay. And so I was reading it one day. And here's a poem called Living Room, the Fringe of Town. At the corner laundromat, a tall, light-complected woman complains about the heat. It's not even 70. She tells the Pakistani man to turn on the big fan. But it blows in dust, he says. I don't care, says she. It's not that hot. And I sit somewhere in the 7th century, China, with the woman of the court writing a poem about her travels to the Chongming Prince's floating wine cup pond. For some reason, I read this as changing princes. But why not? Was the court woman's journey a swift escape from the palace heat, her tiresome duties of charm and submission, or merely the annual pilgrimage up a mountain so that her descent would carry the same urgency? Would that pond please these women bitching about the heat that isn't really here? They enjoy ordering around the skinny man who runs the laundromat. He's a foil for their husbands, supervisors, bad news boyfriends, sons-in-laws, sons who roil their lives in small ways and large. If given the chance, would they dive into the changing prince's floating wine cup pond? Not likely. Scary items to city dwellers, a lack of chlorine, the possibility of bugs, the chaos of parties, those floating wine cups. Sometimes it is good to be at the fringe of town, just this side of the hubbub, gossip, the need to demand obeisance from a little man who's making maybe $10 an hour. Sometimes the search for the floating wine cup is as much fun as drinking from it the first time, wine heavy and tart somewhat. To be the princess who named this pond, well, we can make up her story. The pond's name and festive frame that surrounds the princess's retreat. Was she pretty? Was she smart? Did she catch the emperor's eye? Or feel the emperor's hand brush her neck? Did she piss off a scholar who could have helped her escape to a convent before the cups took over her mind? As for me, childless, husbandless, book reading, happy to observe how these women shout a weary pride in their daily lives, mothering so many, or burying the poor man who used to hang at the corner of or organizing the fete for Friday after next, as huge washers rinse and spin and dryers remove yet another layer of fabric. I am the woman barely visible, the intellectual, the possible slut. Not one of us will jump into the floating wine cup pond, but it is pleasing to know that one existed centuries before at a town's fringe. Those centuries-old breezes from China brush my neck as we stand here folding clean underwear and worrying what to make for dinner.
About your publications, tell us how many books have you published, where have you been seen, and how can people, most importantly, how can people reach out and keep up with you?
I have my own website. It's www.psjones.com. And there's always a listing of readings and events coming up. I have two publications. Femme du Monde is the most recent one from Tia Chucha Press. And the first one was The Weather That Kills from Coffee House. They're both in print. And I have a couple of chapbooks that are now out of print, including Request Us. And I urge everybody to go online and read and maybe print out a copy of Think, Poems for Aretha Franklin's Inauguration Day hat, which is you can get from www.bomb.com.
Bienvenido a Noches del Café, where revolutionaries hang out after the revolution. She doesn't want to be found. It's Carolyn Jones, but otherwise it's Carolyn Butts, publisher and editor of African Voices. Carolyn, congratulations. African Voices is now celebrating its 18th year. It's legal. It's an adult now. How does it feel?
It feels wonderful. Actually, we have a big anniversary celebration that's going to lead up to 2012 when we turn 20. So we're very excited about that, and we cover dance, theater, and film. We actually have a film festival that we produce called Real Sisters of the Diaspora. So you would say that we're an arts and culture magazine as well as literature.
What's the objective and the mission on the political, social side?
Yeah, our political and social message obviously is in the writings and the works. I mean, we obviously are activists. I mean, people who are publishing the poems, they're doing it out of love and heart. They're talking about health care. They're talking about, you know, education. We are an arts organization, but the politics is in our arts. It cannot be separated from it.
Let's talk about the publication itself, African Voices. It says literary publication with class and soul. But what's in it? Of course, you have your sponsors and advertisers, and I'll encourage any and everybody, businesses, to continue the support of this publication, because this is it. This is just one of them. Check out the back cover. You won't see anything like this. But tell us what people see and read.
Well, you will read a combination of young poets and people who are just coming out in historical aspects. Like with this particular issue, we got a recently discovered story from Zora Neale Hurston, Under the Bridge. We got permission to reprint that. We also had a feature on a new writer you're going to be hearing a lot about, Asha Bindeli. She has a book deal and she'll be out next year. So you hear a lot of exclusive things like that in African Voices, in addition to the poetry and the art that we make a consistent part of the magazine.
Now we're going to give the writers who are present here the opportunity to recite their poem. But before we do that, we do have some words that we want to get out, and then we're going to kick off first with our Mademoiselle of the day, all right, Jessica Caremore, when we come back. Keep in touch.
Chase it down with spring water. Poison choking boys and girls, twirls young tongues and knots, forgot how to pronounce gargling with malted ounce. Punk, you wait. Punk, you wait for them. Punk, you wait in no English distinguish. Punk, you wait for them. Punk, you wait for them. Punctuate, 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 punctuate. Period. Them dialects don't work. Words don't fit like sexy slave skirts. Hurt inside. Language died on salty shores down south. Words don't fit right in my mouth. Can't be ours. Split apart full lets. Injected with sexy puffy lies. Tries to kiss Africa with French vous allez avec moi, c'est soir. Uncomfortable twists causing lists low attention spans. All rattling reading his band as traditional chants are turned into cheerleader rants. Mumble memories of what Miles used to do. Threw away like old soles or shoes our feet never wanted to really wear. Dare to bite down with borrowed bone teeth. Chew away the discombobulated food lies and still teach. Gargling with small G's you worship. Vomiting of violent vowels. A-E-I-O-U. Nothing for numb, unfeeling or Joe Miles. Chewing away at our gums. Drugged and x-rays. Some days we feel the thrill as you drill in the caves and cavities. Still can't find black poet correctly defined the nary shun dictionaries, but there's blown up illustrations of Tom, Dick, and Harry. I rather spit than speak, curse our commas, correct what they say, mother can't be mama, no tone, red quote, my teacher can't understand what I wrote, cause I spoke without waiting for the punks, punctuate without a fuss, in this language there is no trust, there are whereas therefore poetry will remain universal language of truth, without clout, by the sprinkle antonyms and cinnamon on brown French toast, both we find creative ways to fix a fit, poison cherry pops with 6 shade words, now mouths, melting into metaphors, mutating into talkative tongue-tied tourists, mumbling and mumbling about Ivory Coast memories that remain unfound, and they still don't understand what we're talking about. Tell them their words don't fit in their mouth! Exclamation point, period. Thank you. Woo!
That was Jessica Caremore. She's here live. Come on back, sis. Let me give you a hand.
Okay.
I barely got those words out of my
Now that let me give you a little opportunity to just clip yourself on.
Okay.
That sounded like it was the title for your book.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay. What inspired you not just to write the book, but to title it "Words Don't Fit in My Mouth"?
Because that poem is dedicated to poets and poets who care enough about poetry to actually do this. This isn't something that you do because you want to get rich or because it's going to give, I don't know, you do it because you feel it. And
you want to earn
a
living.
You want to earn a living. You're going to do that regardless. If you put it out there, you'll benefit from whatever you're doing if you're working hard. And I've always done that, I think, as a writer. But I mean, to claim poet, to claim that term, not everyone can do it. A lot of people try to do it, but I know people who really live the words. And so it's also about, the new that's coming, and all the new writers that are coming out that people need to be made aware of.
And this is the last piece in this ekphrastic outing that we're taking. It's called The Smudged Horizon, and it's after viewing Jenny Augusta Brownstone, her Love's Young Dream, and it was a painting from 1887. Well, either she was from 1887, I'm not sure. And there's 2 voices. It was rust. Despite this scene painted in autumn sun, I could have told her how rust ate away the edges, where brown hills corroded the horizon. Should have told her it was a sign, a compass to her future. Rust eats everything in its path. It is slow, you feel nothing. That imperceptible nod of a head or shrug of shoulders, the inaudible sigh of resignation, or deciding that pain is too hard to push past traditions. Imagine rust crawling, snake-like, eating shrubs and greenery where young girls' dreams lay with August births, where nightingales and whippoorwills' sweet songs are replaced by the caw of ravens. First shade, then gradually, a sepia-toned landscape appears, and that wistful look in her eye dims. Soon, it all disappears.
Voices, and let's get back to them. How important are series like the Harlem Brownstone Series? What can you say about people like Ladine and his family that open their space for these kinds of events?
I say God bless them. For an afternoon such as this, it's reminiscent for me of the 70s, because I lived in Brooklyn at a time when a group of artists, we took over a building, and we used to have Sunday afternoon jazz and poetry, and people would bring food, and it would be an afternoon of letting us know that we had something important to say as well as share, and in a way that was culturally significant. And it's an affirmation, that we can get dressed up and come out and look nice and eat good food. I do say again, God bless Lading and Leslie for opening up their home. I don't know how many people would do that. I mean, I said I wouldn't let that. I would have to have a storefront and everybody come to the storefront, and I would be upstairs.
Well, you know what?
What would he say about such going on? I know it's supposed to be man and wife and family, but did he know then, when he was putting all this together, what a job it would be to have two women folk in the house bleeding at the same time? Did he guarantee that there would be boy children to help outdoors? I'm sure he didn't, because he would have made it easier work for everybody. They say that man's a reflection of his God. Well, all that's well and good, but it didn't say nowhere we had to wait for them to get grown first, that we had to go through sickness, sometimes death, before one of those runts grew into something with some flesh and bones on their body. And here she is, looking just like her mama did, standing almost the same way with that look in her eyes. That fella ain't got a chance. 'Cause it's the look that'll get them. That and the sweet smell women folk have about them when their hearts and bodies ready to be in a matrimonial way. Big grown men oozing like butter on a hot day. They could have pulled us by our suspenders or lead us to water like we do the horses. That's how willing we are. Now God did that. Made us men think we was the only one in charge, while all the while it was those little bitty things. Slim like a stalk of new wheat, soft like that too, helpless. So where was I? What passage did I just read? It don't matter no way. This time next year, there'll be another house built on this land, and I'll have that son that was taken from me, and the women folk will have another baby to fuss over. Ah, there it is. And God said.
But if people wanted to get to catch up to you, to your work, where you're performing, your books, what's the website? What's an email address? Where can they go to find?
My website is www.brendaconnorbay.com. Okay.
Easy enough, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's CONNOR, and it's all one word.